How's it going, everybody? Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be starting off this channel, The Grind Reporter, with beating Endless in Oaken Tower. We beat all 100 days, and I'm going to explain a little bit of my thought process in the key moments. There is chapters to all this video, and I'm going to try to be as educational as possible. So if you would like to beat this, this is going to give you everything you need to make it happen. Now, the background will be game sound, although it will be pretty low. However, it's still there, and I might add a little bit of music. And if you don't want to hear my voice or you want the unedited version, let me know in the comment section below. I also will be doing a written guide, so if that's something you're interested in, you can also check the description for a Google Doc that anyone can have. I'm also going to make a post on Reddit about it, in case you want to have something that you can read whenever you want to find strategies or whatever. The encounter that I just chose is the Traveler. Basically what he gives you is some vials that each give you 3 rerolls. He gives you 4 of them, which gives you 12 rerolls. It's pretty good for tempo to try to get your stuff as soon as possible. When it comes to encounters early, I tend to go whatever can get me scaling as fast as possible, especially because I personally really enjoy Witch. So I know this is not like the main thing that people do for economy and stuff. However, I really enjoy it, and I believed I could make it work. So we have been generating a lot of potions, and this next part is very important. Now we get the vitality slot. This is one of the most important things to be able to survive the 1000 Cuts builds. And to be able to greed against some poison builds, which we will show a bit later. Right here, before getting the vitality slot fully pumping with the max HP, we did choose to get a Dragon's Eye to make sure we're getting a little bit extra max HP every round. And considering we can scale it pretty quickly once we're getting potions to reduce the cooldown, or if we get a dreamcatcher, which also reduces the cooldown, I was confident that we'd make it happen. Now we are 4 lives. This is not ideal. However, if I lost one more, I'd be more worried, because when it comes to Witch, the early game is by far the hardest part. Once you have 1, if not 2 stars on your shield, and you're generating a decent amount of potions, you're pretty much chilling, which is the most enjoyable part, because you're getting, you don't even have to worry about Dreamcatcher as much, because you're getting vials once you get 2 stars on either your simple curses or your crook. And if you have a couple of those, brew today is what it's called, but those things give me 3 vials every day, which is good for getting simple curses where you can get poison, burn, or your shock, which obviously will be tons of potions if you can get that on simple curses ASAP. But also it'll help you get free rerolls, better healing and shielding and XP, and of course it is good for getting those lowered CDs on your stuff. So yeah, we do get the 2-star shield here, which is pretty massive. At this point, we're getting pretty insanely strong. We get the Dreamcatcher, and I knew that at this point, as long as we survived, we would get tons of potions every round, and soon we'll be able to put the Night Bloom into the Vitality slot and get a ton of HP. In the meantime, the Dragon's Orb is keeping us up. Now right here, I usually go Lyra. However, the King's Midas, I saw you could get a royal drop, which I actually saw from William's video. His channel will be linked in the description if you want to check it out. Yeah, the royal drop is completely broken. It's basically those potions that you get that make things free, and the only difference is this gives you 3 of them. So if I see 1 Crownforge brew, I can get 3 of them for free, which is absolutely insane. Right here we do a cool trick. If you put the Lost Fragment under the Dreamcatcher and then something above that, you are going to get way more lowered permanent CD on your items, as you are obviously putting Multicast on your Dreamcatcher, which is massive. As you see, we're getting tons of potions every round now, and that's with only a simple curses, without even being starred. Once we get it 1 and 2 star, it's going to go absolutely insane. At this point, we are getting tons of healing, which will help us survive the poison builds, and it'll be better than the Dragon Orb for the Vitality slot. Now right here is a mistake. I should have put the shield in the Vitality slot. I would have gotten about 270 or 260. Okay, I'm not gonna. Okay. Anyways, we would have got 260 something HP here. However, it wasn't really that big of a deal, as in the grand scheme of things, it didn't end up mattering. Right here, you always want to grab the value potion, I think is what it's called, and then buy the goblets. And I mean, I basically buy everything here early game, and then you sell the treasure chest and get the goblets. If you can get the goblet to a 1-star, you get a free legendary chest, assuming you're level 6 at least. And yeah, like as you can see, now we have 200 healing. I mean, it's getting absolutely insane, and this is the part where, in my opinion, which kind of takes the edge if you can get here with a lot of health, which we didn't necessarily do, but we had enough. We get rid of the dreamcatcher here because at this point I was confident that I was going to get enough from just having the brew today at 1-star. So yeah, and we are just trying to multicast our simple curses. I did get a witch, which is a new way of getting potions, or like the best way to get potions at this time. I do a little bit of a funky re-swap, whatever. This is definitely a little weird of a misplay, but I would say I was trying to keep all my options open without like fully committing to something. However, I know that I need a dark necklace at some point, and so I wanted to pick those up. I did want to get the Solaris shield, however, I was not as worried because my Night Bloom was so stacked up with healing and on such a low cooldown. I was hoping that I could just survive it. Now, I did put that potion belt in just to have another witch item out there, and I didn't really want to add anything that added damage, so that was the best thing I could do while putting multicast on my cauldron so I could get more potions. That was a huge play because we did get an Elven trait that we could put on any item, and we put that on our simple curses, which that means is when I find an Elven orb, then I can put that under the simple curses and get permanent multicast on the simple curses, which will be getting me after probably a single round for the rest of the game when I have it in there. As long as the round doesn't end instantly, I'll be getting hundreds of potions or vials, depending on what the star level of my simple curses are. Now, once again, we just put in whatever 1-star witch item we got. Since we put damage on our potion belt, we decided to get rid of it, or just put it in our inventory. And just like that, on round 13, we are getting 800 small potions, I think they are, lesser potions. So at this point, I had a lot of rolls, a ton of gold, tons of XP. I mean, we're making... how much healing is it? 1300 healing, which if you times that by 3, because vitality slot gives you the max health for your first 3 heals, that is 4000 extra HP every single round, basically instantly. We have 2 cauldrons in here now. We do get our first Pandora's box. I like to get it just to kind of help me get the stars of the most important stuff. So, of course, we are going to probably fit this in wherever we can. At this point in the game, we can't get slots of any other kind, so Pandora's really doesn't hurt to put in whenever. And if at the very least you don't need the stars or the item, it'll just be giving you probably around 20 gold every single round, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you count every single round for the rest of the game and multiple Pandora's slots, it's pretty insane. And just like that, we've got 10 trophies, W100 rating. Like the video if you're enjoying it so far. I'm trying to explain everything as fast and as good as I possibly can. And yeah, so yeah, I appreciate all the support so far, and if you're still here, that's awesome. Heck yeah, first episode's going well at that point. Now we're really just looking to get witch items to keep our cauldron stacking. We actually don't want to have that much poison on the enemy, which is why we substituted a cauldron for the brew today. However, now that we have a Pandora slot, I wanted to get a cauldron level 2 quickly, so I ended up putting it in the Pandora slot as the 1, and then the 1-star is wherever, because it doesn't matter which one, you're going to get 1 cauldron at the end of the round no matter what. And as you see, we got Simple Curses level 2, so now I should be able to make every single item that I have 1 second cooldown, which is absolutely insane, and why I really enjoy Simple Curses. But you can also do this with Crook, so very nice witch gaming. We like that. Now, I was just putting the stuff on whatever. However, all damage was being put on stuff that I was not playing, because I didn't need damage to win rounds. I was pretty confident that I could beat pretty much any build in the entire game at this time. Maybe the hardest would be if I faced like a Blazing Bull that just had insane amounts of burn. But we got the Elven Orb. Now we're going to be getting permanent multicast on our Simple Curses, which means it won't have to scale as hard, and it'll just be starting rounds and just absolutely giving us insane amounts of potions. We got the Cauldron 2-star, and as you saw, look at how many free rerolls. You might have missed it because the rounds are going 2 times speed, just to be able to, you know, make it a watchable length. I did want to share, you know, kind of the whole video with you guys because it is important. If I wanted to learn how to get Endless completed, I would want somebody to be doing what I'm doing right now. That's just how I like to learn, is see the whole picture. And yeah, we're 2-starring everything because the Simple Curses was giving us vials, and vials can give those cloud vials. We got, you know, 800 of them or whatever, and it just gave us insane amounts of free rerolls. Now this is the huge moment right here. This is a game-changing royal drops on the Crownforge, and just like that, boom, GG's, game over. We 3-star Simple Curses, which means it now gives us potions, which can give us more Crownforges, more goods, more multicasts. It can also give us the traits, as we want moon traits. You'll see a little bit later why. And at this point, I knew that I had a really good run on my hands, and I did not want to mess it up. We also got pretty lucky here, and we found 3 cursed garnets. The idea is to get this maxed out. I have an extra Crownforge. I have a Potion of Appearance. Hopefully, I could get the Cursed Garnet level 3, because at level 3, not only are we going to be getting, obviously, more per trigger of the start of combat, but we are also going to be getting cursed items, which is massive because we really want to get our Cursed Shield and start scaling that, as that is kind of the main idea of this build. You know, I did pick up the 1000 Cuts early just in case I wanted to play it. However, it definitely felt like the best play this game would be to focus on Cursed Shield because of how early I got it. Or I got, you know, the setup for it. I'm not sure necessarily what I was looking for at this point. Oh, I guess it was just to 2-star the Night Quill, as we have everything else 2-starred. We do get some extra lucky shops. At this point, we just want to get our 25% luck. So when we're spamming our rerolls, we're not losing too much. So now we should get a ton of items, both potions and dark items. As you can see, we put it in the dark slot just in case it was a short fight. And we have over 460 dark items, including some cursed items. You want the Cursed Shield and Dark Orb are the most important. Now there is the debuff cursed item. However, that wasn't important for the run, as our main focus was going to be to scale specifically our shielding and our survivability through a holy item, which you will see later if you haven't already seen it. At this point, once I have the Cursed Shield, I have 117,000 HP thanks to the Vitality slot. So I was pretty confident at day 16 I can survive most builds. And, you know, once your 2-star Cursed Shield gets through, I don't know, 5 seconds, you're probably going to have enough shielding to shield through any damage you might take. So yeah, I was pretty comfortable at this point. The only thing that I was worried about is misclicking. If you don't know what I'm doing, with quick use, you can right click and potions will go on whatever you had used your potion on last. And so it's a good way to kind of use tons at a time. However, you could misclick and accidentally put damage. If you put damage, it might be a game ender. I'm hoping that Bocary at some point makes it so you can remove or like not put damage on certain items if you want to, because ideally there is an option to get rid of quick use. However, then you have to drag every single item. So right here, it's important to say that what I'm doing, I am putting moon on everything. My choice of how to get multicast on everything as soon as possible in one round is to actually use the start of combat from the moonveil, which at 3 stars gives you permanent multicast to every single moon item that you're playing. And of course we can just put moon on everything because we have basically infinite rerolls. There's another huge tip or trick or whatever that I found from William, which is Mimic Rod plus a potion belt above. If you get enough multicast on it, you can pretty much get 1,000 potion belts in one round. And if you do that, you're pretty much good for the game. You could get more, however, it introduces lag, and I didn't really want to be lagging for 100 rounds, so I just did it for one round. I'm pretty sure I got 1,000, and then I was good with that for the rest of the game. One other important thing that I will say that I did is buy candies. I think it's very underlooked. However, if you're really going to try to maximize with your curse shield, at least when you don't want to play Solaris, which is the item that axe that you're seeing right now, which I'll explain in a little bit. But for now, we wanted to get a ton of healing on our curse shield because we plan on playing only curse shield with 3 Nyquils and 2 dark orbs, or not dark orbs, the necklace, dark necklace. That'll allow us to scale up the multicast on our curse shield while we can still kind of breeze through these fights without needing, tons of special items to beat different comps. But having that extra healing from the candies, always use the healing candies last, never use the damage candies in my opinion. And yeah, use it on your curse shield and then use your shielding on your Solaris. That way you always have a little bit of extra protection in case you're scaling one or the other. Of course, here we have basically infinite gold plus free rerolls at this point. So we're just going to look to 3-star everything, put all the traits we want on everything, and then we're going to use the moonveil maybe one more time. We did get the potion, the Elven potion. If you saw what I just did, if you ever have the kind of invisible option from a present, all you have to do is close your backpack. For some reason, your backpack stops you from seeing potions, seems, but yeah, maybe there was a bug with it or something before. But as you see, we're spending, kind of buying whatever we think we might use, and of course we are buying candies. And as you're gonna see, we should get a decent amount, which will help us with poison. So if we did face a poison build, without the healing, we could lose. I mean, 128,000 is not that bad, but poison can get enough that, if you have 10,000, you have 0 healing, you're probably going to die eventually, right? So I do use the rest of my gold right before I went into the round on the levels just to get a little extra HP. And then, of course, we use all the other stuff, and then we use our healing. And as you can see, we got over 1,000 healing from those candies for, basically nothing. So we are 3-starring everything. And we're basically going to have our full build very soon, and then it's just a matter of kind of recognizing the fights and playing accordingly. But we need these potion belts. I'm going to try to get every Crownforge I can. Always get the autocast or the multicast if you can as well. And we're ready to go. So as you can see, when you have the dark slot with your moonveil, you get quite an absurd amount of multicast, and we get 120,000. Now keep in mind, as far as I know, you can only trigger an item 10 times per second. So if you have a 1-second cooldown on your item and you have 10 multicast, it is just as good on almost every item except for, let's say, a curse shield that scales with multicast. But on every other item, like a dark necklace, right, I could have 10 and it'll be the same as if I had 10 billion multicast. It does literally no difference. So that you know, it was a bit overkill, but I enjoy doing it, and it's, you know, it's moonveil, right? Like, the thing I should have done is put the cursed shield in the dark slot, because, you know, I didn't actually need that much multicast. However, moonveil is a good way to get the multicast. Now, one thing I just did that I should have done in a previous round, just in case, you know, they were crazy weak, is get a ink, which is an item that you can put on another item, and it'll make it 100-second cooldown. Now, this isn't actually a problem. It's pretty good, actually. So you can basically make it so you can choose when you're going to use that item. So the best way to trigger it is either you can use a frost orb, but most people just use a dark orb, and they put dark on whatever item, because that way at the start of combat you're triggering it, right? So right here we're getting a bunch of multicast on everything, because the start of combat effect will happen even if it has a 100-second trigger, and this way I'm not doing any damage with either the Solaris or the moonveil. Because if they had, let's say that guy had literally 500 HP, we still would have had the round go until the fatigue or the end of round damage, whatever you want to call it, will deal the damage. And at this point we have enough multicast on everything. We can basically get rid of the moonveil. I personally don't get rid of stuff like, you know, the mimic rod and stuff, just in case something happened, like I accidentally sold something I needed or something. But for the most part, at this point in the run, once you have multicast on this stuff, you're good to go. Now keep in mind, night quills, the thing on the bottom left, that necklace, can have 0 multicast, and it doesn't actually matter. It can also have a 100-second cooldown and does not matter. This is because the effect happens instantly, but it also doesn't have like a trigger. It's just automatic. The only other item that I can think of that is like that is the frosty necklace. I don't know what it's called, but it amplifies your crit, which works with critical healing from that perk, or critical shielding, or of course critical damage. So yeah, but yeah, night quills don't need any multicast at all, and it also doesn't matter about having a specific amount of, like, you know, attack speed or whatever it's called. So make quick work of this guy. He looks like he was running like a poison build. I don't know, that guy, I'm surprised he got that far, but we'll take it. Now with this guy, I had no idea what he was playing, because it just showed me a 3-star Lost Fragment. I was worried that he was going to be killing me with poison, but I wasn't as worried because he was still using a Lost Fragment, which means he's still scaling his permanent multicast. So we weren't in any trouble. However, I still do add in a Dark Orb, as I only have 4 lives, which, you know, since I'm taking 3 every time and I only have that 1 revive that everybody gets, then we had basically 3 lives total. Now when you don't have quick use on, it'll only use stuff that doesn't go on items. So you can do what I just did, is just spam right click and go over everything, and then you can hold S and left click all the potions that you don't want to use and you just want to get rid of. That way, if you do turn on quick use, which I do at some point, then you're not going to accidentally misclick. So I get rid of all the poison, all the damage, all the shock, all the bleed, all that. And right here, we're just 3-starring everything, putting the traits on everything, because the worst thing that could happen is you correctly choose, you know, see what your opponent's going to do, a bunch of, you know, let's say poison or a bunch of shielding or whatever, and you make the right decision with your build for that round, but you don't have the right trait on, you know, you don't have dark on it and it doesn't insta-proc, and then you die. That's a huge mistake that can happen, and, you know, sometimes if you're not focused, that's what happens. So we're facing Frosty. However, this guy has a 2-star, and Frosties, in my experience, are not that bad. I mean, especially around 20 or day 20, right? So weren't too worried about it, which is why I added another necklace. And this is kind of the ideal build if you're trying to scale up your curse shield. You want to quickly get that in, and remember, if you have damage, poison, whatever, you could just win the round too early. So the best possible case scenario is you just have enough healing to survive, enough max health to not die to poison, and just go full greed mode and hope for the best. Now, I was just checking all my items at this point. There wasn't that much more that I wanted to necessarily do, so I will probably stop with the commentary very soon. My voice is starting to hurt. I've been talking forever, but I will, of course, be adding some music in, and I will also be commenting when, you know, a cool YouTuber or something I fight. So yeah, other than that, I'll let you enjoy, and once again, thank you all for watching. This is, you know, took me a ton of time to edit, theory craft, play, and I'm really enjoying the game. If you want to see more content from this game, let me know. And one other thing about the channel is it's going to be, the whole point of Grand Reporter is to do variety games, but you know, I will stick on a game for a little bit if it's doing well. However, I will always end or start a, you know, a different game by doing a review. So there will be an Oaken Tower review after over 100 hours of playing the game since its release. So if you want to see that or you're interested, please subscribe, as that will be coming out very shortly. Now, in my opinion, it's better safe than sorry when it comes to lives. Obviously, it's hard to say when I'm only 4 out of 10, right? But at this point, I'm playing extremely conservatively when I see something that could beat me. Now, that does come from, you know, knowledge and playing a lot of the game. However, my written guide will show almost every situation and how I would approach it. Now, I'm not necessarily a pro, but, you know, I do have over 100 hours in the game, so I would hope I at least have an idea of what's going on. Now, it is important to get your Solaris in there from time to time and keep it somewhat scaled. At this point in the game, I have 4 million HP, right? But I think that if I'm not going to be playing the Protector, which reduces debuffs, then I am worried that, you know, the 5,000 healing that I have might not be enough to heal me through, you know, a big poison build with, like, you know, the Elven ring and stuff. So we do get the Solaris, and just like that, we have 13 million HP, and I think I do keep it in for a couple extra times. Now, one thing to note, you want to have 50, this is really important, okay? So if you don't listen to anything else, please listen to this. If you are going Solaris, it is very important to get around 50 seconds of cooldown. So you want to use the ink, get it to 100, and then with your potion belts and your per round, whatever, you want to get the 50 seconds. That makes it so if you face a round, you know, freaking, let's say you faced an absolute noob with 10,000 HP, you will most likely get your 3 autos off. If you want to be careful, you can do 46 or 44 or whatever, right? That way you never win instantly, ever. So you always have some scaling, and you still get the proc off. Like if you have 45 seconds or so, you're 99% of the time gonna get your 3 autos off, because it's not, keep in mind, it's, you know, it's not doing damage really, but you know, you never know who's gonna be, you're gonna be fighting at day 20. You never know if it's a guy that's just one-shotting everybody with a blazing bolt, you know what I mean? I don't know. So actually, with a blazing bolt, they wouldn't die. Anyways, you know that you get the point. I'm not doing a lot of damage, but I don't want to do it instantly when I don't have to. So yeah, back to the... Okay, this is another kind of important thing. However, I will say from my experience, it's better safe than sorry also in this aspect. So what I did there is I did 3-star my curse shield, which means I no longer get multicast for the rest of the game. However, I have experience going for 35 million multicast on the dark curse shield and then losing to some guy with like 15 mil because he's just scaled faster with the 3-star. So learning from that, I went to 20 mil because I felt like I probably did get it faster than that other guy. However, at 20 mil, I was very comfortable to just scale for the rest of the game, just giving myself as much permanent shield from that 20 mil. The more rounds, you know, with 3 night quills plus 2 cursed necklaces that I can get while having the 3-star cursed shield, the best, you know, opportunity or chance I have for getting the 100 endless. Let's go. Also, I was pretty confident that if I did do that, I would beat almost every curse shield build unless they had a sword, and I did not, which is why you'll see that I will add a sword whenever, if I do get to 1 HP, or if I do feel like there's a high likelihood that they're also running a sword. For this fight, it's important to note that I did end up getting my Solaris to 1 second once I realized that there's literally no way that 120 damage per second, or let's say times 10, right? Because it's 10 multicast. So what is that? 1.2 thousand damage is never going to kill anybody at this point in this in the game. Everybody has either shielding, healing, something like that. So I was fine to have Solaris proccing instantly. And if I didn't, I might have died to that guy because he did end up getting 17 million poison on me, and I only had 140 million HP. So just wanted to note that. Okay, this guy absolutely cooked with his build. He had like 8 million poison on his Elven shield already at this point in the game. Yeah, he does like 260 million poison on me because I didn't have a protector on. Definitely caught me off guard, and I did lose because of it. But now, trust me, I won't be making that mistake again. Very conservative. Now we have 1 HP, and like I said, I did expect to lose to somebody between round 42 and round 100. So I was definitely worried, and I wanted to play more safe than sorry for the rest of the game. That's what you're going to see. A lot of protector, probably Dark Orb almost every time with this. This is pretty much my setup that for most fights. Unless I know for sure that, you know, I won't die to poison. Funny enough, this is me facing myself, and this was one of my closest fights. And by the way, this is when I had 34 million shield, multicast shield on my shield. So basically, look at how close the HP is. 6 million HP difference between those two games, and one of these goes to endless 100, and one of them ends right here. So quite insane. I'm pretty sure I pressed log, and you can see 13,000 compared to 87,000 shielding, and the swords do not affect what it says on the shielding, I'm pretty sure, so that's actually where we were at. And as you just saw, that is proof that the multicast, going crazy on the multicast, isn't necessarily better than 3-starring at a comfortable amount and just scaling that. Because I got almost 7 times more while having 14 million less multicast. Okay, y'all, this person is one of the first people I saw beat day 100. So shout out to him. I can't really put his name anywhere because I don't think it's appropriate. However, yeah, so shout out to him, but I can't say his name. So yeah, but he did have a really cool build and he did beat 100, and he was one of the first people I saw do it on Reddit. So very cool. And yeah, that's about all I can say. One other thing, this is the guy that beat that bolt from earlier. So I guess, yeah, I mean, he was still kicking at this point. So this guy had beat the bolt that I lost to, I mean, that I just beat on day 43. This guy's build on day 43 or something beat that build. So yeah, just a little lore right there for you guys. Now, I will say from past run experience as well, around day 50 is when you start to see the same people over and over, as obviously I'm making comments on past fights and past rounds facing the same people and same builds and stuff. I don't know if that'll improve when I make this guide in case anyone sees this and wants to do it for themselves. I feel like they'll have the tools, so maybe there'll be more builds in the pool, which might make it harder. So, but yeah, it's gonna be more competitive, hopefully, so that'd be pretty cool. This was before my time when it comes to pushing endless. However, this guy might have been onto something. He had 186 million damage on his Cobalt, which would win if you didn't have Dark Orb against basically any build that wasn't Solaris. But of course, I'm pretty sure people adjusted pretty quickly. Now this is our first Bocary fight, which is pretty cool. If you don't know, Bocary is the dev of the game. I'm pretty sure he's a solo dev as well. Now, I was a little thrown off by the fact that he had a lost fragment. However, it was 1 star, right? So I was like, okay, we're good. So basically, anytime you see me face Bocary, this will be the exact setup that I do. 3 Night Quills, 2 Dark Necklace, 0 damage, and he's just going to die to fatigue. which allows me to scale as much as I possibly can. Basically, most of my scaling for the rest of the game is going to be just against Bocary. I could have scaled, I think, against Cat. However, I never knew if they were randomly going to just start destroying me, so I think I did play it safe, as I like to do. Now, this is my first time facing an Astral Hammer build. If you want to see me try to get a day 100 with an Astral Hammer, let me know. I think it might attack at the same time as 1,000 Cuts. However, I'm pretty sure 1,000 Cuts might be better just solely because it's a sword and there's forged blades that are broken. So yeah. Now you're gonna have to listen to me a little bit more because another legend is about to be facing us. We are, of course, facing Bocary again. However, even after this fight, we're gonna have an insane fight against another YouTuber. So shout out that person, the first Grandmaster to make an appearance in this run. However, it won't be the last. But this person has a 1,000 Cuts video of beating day 100 of Endless, and I actually faced the build from that video, which is pretty cool. I enjoyed it, facing builds that I had watched videos of, trying to see how people did it when I was trying to do my research on how I could do it. Now, I kind of knew what the build was, right, because I had seen the video. However, this is what I would do against any 1,000 Cuts build. I'm not going to risk them having a bazillion debuffs and winning that way. And as long as you have a cursed orb and enough health, you will survive the first hit, and then you should just be able to win off of the curse shield. However, I always do put in a sword, 99% of the time, in case they are also scaling a shield somehow. I don't know. But yeah. Yo, somebody has got to tell me what Bob was cooking that got him to day 66 with 4 items. I mean, I don't know if this was like a playtester thing or whatever. However, it did seem like, I mean, at level 400, right? He had to be doing something. But I don't know how Bob ended up with this build at this level. Another Grandmaster makes an appearance, Peach Cat. This person absolutely cooks with the build. This is debuff, 10 billion HP, you know, with the, I think it's called the Elven Staff. That is adding, keep in mind, I have a protector. This is 80% less debuffs, and, or like they're applying 80% less, and he still has 1.8 million poison instantly. Now, I'm pretty sure I pressed the log after this, and you're going to see how much they actually applied. The protector saved me from 1.6 billion poison from killing me. If I didn't have protector, I would have had a 1.6 billion poison on me. So yeah, that's pretty insane. Next, we get a back-to-back fight. This person was still scaling their Solaris, which is a strat that they do. And yeah, Grandmaster, respect. Yo, another legend has made an appearance. I fight H&H, also known as William. I've seen this video on YouTube. I learned a lot actually from him. This is where I learned the Mimic Rod potion belt thing, and I was trying to learn the economy early game stuff. However, I did end up with my witch strat that I haven't seen in a video yet, but yeah, this is pretty cool facing him. You will see him again in the video, and you'll actually see, I think, a different build of his very soon, right here. This is another build, and also I think this might be a sneak peek at his next video. He absolutely cooked with the shielding here. Luckily, I think, you know, I don't know if he ends up throwing in a sword at some point. However, I definitely would have lost if he did have one. Because it does reduce shields by 80%, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, this guy is one of the goats of Oaken Tower to my knowledge, and definitely should subscribe. He is shouted out. I'm sure I'll have his thing in the description. I do show the log here. You'll see he absolutely mogs me, triples my shielding, literally insane. But also he'll be in the Google Doc as well if you want to check out that for the rating. Yo, this person was absolutely cooking with the poison on the Elven shield. If you want to see me run one of these, definitely let me know, because it was definitely a cool build, and I think it could be improved with having multicast on the Dark Necklace and on the Protector. However, I mean, this guy made it to day 80, so what do I know? So yeah. But yeah, 1.48 billion poison was applied by that shield. Pretty insane. Now, y'all, my next fight is my closest fight of the entire run. and it is against this build, I mean, this doesn't even look real. You'd think it's playtester or something, but this guy, I mean, he cooked, bro. Each of these is reducing my shielding by 80%, but since they're all proccing permanent, I think it's just permanent 80%, 80%, 80%, which allows his Blazing Bull, which is freaking not given that much shielding, to actually compete, and we actually tie, which is insane. But yeah, I'll let you enjoy the rest, and that's about the most you know, notable appearances. We will now show the rest of it, and then I will talk again at the end of the video when we fight the Oak. All right, we officially have beat the 100 days. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It took a ton of time to edit, to make the spreadsheet, to theory craft, to watch all these videos, to try to benchmark and learn from my mistakes. Just a ton of work went into this. We have over 120 hours in the game. This is my first auto battler and my first episode on this YouTube channel. But I am going to try to bring it as best quality as I possibly can, while also trying to be educational. And of course, I am going to leave reviews for all the games that I play. So hopefully this will be a hub for people to see what games they want to play, not play, and stuff like that. And just like that, you're seeing that we did over 210 quadrillion damage, which is by far my best game. I don't think there's a world record, but hopefully it's at least close. Very fun video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe if you appreciate the hard work. Thanks for watching.